Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Brandy Clark credits her grandma for her deep love and connection to classic country music. Growing up in rural Washington state, it was her grandma's stories of Loretta and Haggard that left a lasting impression.
My knowledge of country music specifically goes way deep because of my grandma. Because my parents were listening to what was on country radio at the time. Yeah. But my grandparents, they were listening to Merle Haggard,
they were going
Loretta
back.
Lynn.
Buck Owens,
One of my first memories in life was my grandma going to a Loretta Lynn concert and staying up wanting to hear about the concert and falling asleep and then waking up in the morning and her telling me all about it.
Brandy's passion for storytelling went beyond country radio. She always had a love of musical theater and would find herself co-writing a Broadway musical with her songwriting partner, Shane McAnally. The two would go on to receive a Tony Award nomination for Best Original Score for Shucked.
I love musical theater. I have since I was a small child, and it was on my bucket list to write a musical. I'm glad it came along when it did because I loved writing that musical and have actually started another one. And had it come along when I was needing to have my bucket list, it would have never happened because they take so long.
In 2023, two powerhouse artists would come together, Brandy Clark and Brandi Carlile. The result, music rooted in authenticity. Carlile choosing from Brandy's catalog songs she felt were most intimate and heartfelt.
Some of her choices really surprised me, and I asked her, I said, man, I love these choices, but like, why did you choose what you chose? And she said, I chose the songs that I felt when I listened to like you had written them in your bedroom and not a writing room.
Well, thanks for joining us. I'm so glad you guys are here. She's one of the most prolific songwriters in music, period. She's a Grammy Award winner, a Tony-nominated artist. From the John Deere stage, on the record with Brandy Clark. Finally! So good to see you.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me.
So it's funny, I think that's the first time I ever said Tony-nominated artist. I can't imagine, it feels good to say, I can't imagine how it feels to, know that that's what you've accomplished.
Yeah, that was one I didn't see coming. I love musical theater. I have since I was a small child, and it was on my bucket list to write a musical. I didn't think it would come along when it did in the way that it did, and I'm glad it came along when it did because I loved writing that musical and have actually started another one. And had it come along when I was needing to have my bucket list, it would have never happened because they take so long.
Right, right.
So I'm like,
that's what I mean, the hard work. 9 nominations,
yeah.
Is that right?
And 10 or 11 years from the inception to when we opened on Broadway.
That's incredible. So it is a long, long time.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about that, but I thought we'd go back. I want to talk about Morton, Washington.
Okay.
Take us back home, what it was like growing up there.
Morton, Washington, to me, it's a heavenly place. I had such an idyllic childhood. When I really think about it, 900 people.
Wow.
Yeah, one stoplight that just blinks. It doesn't, and the town, my dad was a logger, and most people's dads were loggers or worked in the timber industry.
That was what the town did,
yeah. And it was all I knew, so I really, really loved it. And I was fortunate that I had parents that exposed us to culture outside of the little town I grew up in. But if I had never left, it would have been a great place to grow up, you know?
There's pictures. We have a picture of you holding, I guess, your wildfire training that you did. Like, did you think, which is amazing, by the way. I mean, was that the thought process, or was that just something that kids did in that area because that's what you did?
Okay, so how that happened was when I was getting ready to graduate high school, the Department of Natural Resources came and spoke to our class. And they said they were going to hire 2 girls because they needed to hire females.
Wow.
And to be fire crew. And so I thought, oh, I really want that job. I actually stopped working that job because I got in a band and I didn't want to miss gigs. And when you're on fires, you might be gone.
Right, you can be gone for a period at a time, right?
Yeah, but super fun.
Yeah. So you started playing while you were there in Washington. I have to tell you, there is this common denominator from every artist that sits in that chair. It says, I couldn't wait to leave my hometown because I wanted to chase my dreams. And as adults, they're all, I can't wait to get back to my hometown. Some even buying places back in their hometown where they're kind of really splitting their time between Nashville and where they grew up. There's a song on your album called Northwest. And I go, boy, what is it? You feel like you're in heaven, but you didn't have to die. I mean, that line. So clearly there is a passion and a love for where you come from. Family's still there? Anybody still there?
Yeah, my mom is still there. And there is, I actually wasn't that kid who wanted to leave. Had I not had that music dream, I probably wouldn't have left.
Wow.
Because I was very attached to my parents, and I grew up next door to my grandparents, and I didn't want to leave any of those people. I'm glad I did. It was the best thing I ever did. And it really, it does make me appreciate where I'm from. And I remember my grandma telling me my grandma had been to so many places, and I asked her, you know, where's the most beautiful place you've been? And she started to talk about different places in the country. And she said, you know, though, and I get teary when I tell this story, but she said, you're going to go to a lot of places and see a lot. And this was when I was young. You know, she clearly saw something I didn't see. She said, but there'll never be any place prettier than here. And it's not because this is beautiful. And it is, but it's because it's where you're from.
Where you're from,
your
hometown.
Yeah.
Grandmother really kind of introduced you to music, playing the radio?
Well, all of my mom and my grandma. You know, my mom, great musician. My grandma, you know, she would say there were two kinds of music, country and Western. So, you know, in her, I feel fortunate for so many reasons that she was next door, but my knowledge of country music specifically goes way deep because of my grandma. Because my parents were listening to what was on country radio at the time, which was like Ronnie Millsap. That was the first. That was the first concert I went to. Eddie Rabbitt, you know, Reba, early Reba. But my grandparents, they were listening to Merle Haggard,
they were going
Loretta
back.
Lynn.
Buck Owens,
One of my first memories in life was my grandma going to a Loretta Lynn concert and staying up wanting to hear about the concert and falling asleep and then waking up in the morning and her telling me all about it and what Loretta was wearing. And so I feel like I know much more classic country.
Because of you.
Yeah.
She smoked in the house?
She smoked in the house and in the car and
everywhere.
Yeah, and was mad at places you couldn't smoke.
She sounds like quite the character.
Big character. And I mean, I don't know that I've met a bigger character than my grandma and a better storyteller. Like a lot of my storytelling as a songwriter came from my grandma and her siblings and the way that they would tell stories.
I love how you ended that song. I wish you hear more stories.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what brought you here. God, we've got a lot to talk about. So you're going to stick around. You guys are going to stick around at home as well. Stay with us. We've got a lot more on the record with Brandy Clark.
We were in the kitchen getting coffee and we met and we both felt this instant connection. I mean, it was strong enough for him that he called the other person we were writing with who was known to cancel. I didn't know that, but he did and was like, we can't cancel. Like, I just have a feeling. And we just hit it off instantly.
Welcome back to On the Record, spending time with Brandy Clark, and a pleasure having you in the studio. I'm just so loving your stories. Coming up, I think fans are going to get to hear maybe some of these stories. When you hit the road, you're going to be touring with Mary Chapin Carpenter, playing some songs off this self-titled album, one of your most recent releases. What was self-titled? More You?
More me.
Yeah.
You know, when Brandi Carlile and I sat down to talk about making a record together, she said, I really see this as your return to the Northwest, which is what brought about the song Northwest. And it was a return to that, where I'm from. But it was really more than that. It was a return to me remembering why I write songs. And that really, I learned a big lesson from Brandi. Anytime I've made a record, I always give the producer the last 18 to 24 songs. Between myself and management and label, we've whittled them down. And then I really depend on that producer to really help me pick 10 because I'm too close at that point. And I've never worked with a producer I've written with. So they're hearing songs they've never heard. And there are usually a few that I'm like, I have to record that.
Right.
But I need help, you know, to figure this out. And some of her choices really surprised me. And I asked her, I said, man, I love these choices, you know, but, you know, like, why did you choose what you chose? And she said, I chose the songs that I felt when I listened to, like you had written them in your bedroom and not a writing room.
Personal.
Yeah. And so songs like She Smoked in the House, you know, those sort of songs, and Buried. And it reminded me, because you can get in this routine of writing songs where you're trying to impress other songwriters, or you're trying to write a hit.
Or do you ever think of you're writing for somebody else who might listen to this and...
When I'm writing with somebody else, I do that. Envisioning somebody else singing my songs never worked for me. I would, you know, I always wanted a Leanne Womack cut when I was writing Every Day for the Market, and I would think, would Leanne say this? And she never did. So, you know,
you're watching Leanne.
So she did record a song of mine, but it didn't end up on an album. But she was always the pinnacle cut for me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And so, but it reminded me, oh yeah, when we first started writing songs, we wrote it because there was something on our hearts that needed to be heard, not because we were trying to impress another songwriter or whatever. And so it was good for me to be reminded of that. And that's why this record was titled Brandy Clark.
I'm interested, you know, obviously having two Brandys, both from the state of Washington, right, and both singing like you do. The idea of all the success and all that you've accomplished, and obviously Brandi Carlile as well, to kind of relinquish, is it hard to kind of go, okay, I'm going to just turn this over to you?
No, it's not for me, because I don't fancy myself a producer in any way. I really need help when it comes to that, and I feel like the producer is the last writer on all the songs.
I like that, yeah. And
they're an artist also. Now, I did have a little, I will say, when Brandy and I first started, I did have a little harder time with her internally than I had other producers, and it's because I saw her as an artist. And I had to remind myself, wait, she's in the producer chair, and she's really good at it. Like, remember that. That's who she is in this project. Yeah. And once I did that, I mean, it was just one day. Once I made that shift, then it was easy.
I want to go ahead and play, of course, your Grammy Award-winning Dear Insecurity. Can we do it? Here's a piece of that. Check it out.
You're a mean girl, you're a bully, and I hope you're having fun. Hey, insecurity. Try on all my clothes, it just occurred to me that you may live in my phone. You tell me I don't fit in, push me close to quitting. If I can't find a way to get you gone, can we find a way to get along, along? Careless and you're cruel and oh, you're mindless. Maybe you could try insecurity.
Thank you for writing that. I think every single person can relate to that. It is truly amazing, especially the line, you may live in my phone, you tell me I don't fit in, you push me close to quitting.
Yeah, I think, in fact, I was just having a conversation with a friend before we headed over here about social media and how damaging it is, and especially to this generation of kids that have never not known it. And I think our phones can really bring us down.
How do you overcome it?
Well, I don't think I'm as bad about it as a lot of people. Now, it can be a rabbit hole for me that'll take a lot of time. But I try not to compare myself to other people, and if I start to do that, I get off of it. Yeah. You know, and when I'm in a creative mode, which I am right now, I really try to stay off it, because that is where that time suck comes in, that I need to be filling the well with reading books, listening to music, watching great TV.
Experiencing life.
Yeah,
right?
experiencing life, and not be in a scroll hole.
Yeah, I like a scroll. Is that another song we're going to be hearing somewhere? It's going to work its way into a song, a lyric. Touring with Mary Chapin Carpenter, what's it going to be like for you? Have you guys worked together in the past?
We have. You know, I went out and I opened some shows for her. I guess it was 2023, and I've always, she's a hero of mine. And but now I can say she's a friend of mine, you know.
Nice. Yeah.
And she's just wonderful, and it's great for me to be on the road with somebody like that every night I want to listen to their set because it's inspiring.
Yeah. You think you'll get to collaborate? Have you guys done that yet?
We haven't. We were supposed to, and then I got COVID. The one time I got COVID, you know. But we will on this tour.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're going to have plenty of time through summer and fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're playing in I think 43 shows.
Oh wow! So you're going to have a busy time. I got to tell you, you are amazing. We just adore everything that you do. I know so much more music to come. So we're going to be following your career and maybe get you back in the studio down the road when you have more music.
You know, from my first record, you have always made a space for me and my music. So I appreciate it.
Adore you very much. This has been a great time hanging out with Brandy Clark from the John Deere stage. We will see you next time on The Record.